Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at YOLO. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.yolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions right after this class.
Hi guys. Hello everybody. I hope all of you all are doing extremely well, and I also hope that all of you all have just followed the submission process that we shared. In case you have joined in late, don't worry, we would be repeating this process of submission towards the end of this class. So, uh, okay, so we are here together for the last class of our Mandala course today. So it has been a long journey. We have explored different mediums, different patterns, different techniques. And since we have been doing this procedure of, following different kind of techniques and exploring different mediums, I thought why not introduce a different medium this time. So you all know that we are going to make use of watercolors in today's class. So just quickly give me a thumbs up if you are ready with your art materials and all excited to jump in today's fun activity. Yes, so I need quick thumbs ups coming in the chat section, and I'll then share the screen and we'll get started with today's class. So I need quick thumbs ups coming in the chat section, and then we can just get started. Quickly give me thumbs up that yes, ma'am, we are ready and let's get started with today's class. Yes, I see thumbs ups coming in. Don't worry about the art materials. As you all know, we discuss about the art materials in detail. So don't worry about that thing. And since I see the thumbs up coming in, let's not wait anymore and then just get started. Okay, I've just shared the screen. I hope all of you all are able to view the screen. And so let us get started now. Okay, let's get started. So first things first, let's discuss the materials. First, we need an A5 white drawing sheet. In case you have an A4 size black sheet, just to make it A5, you should cut it into half. So we already know that A4 size sheet, when we cut it into half, we get an A5 size sheet. So I'm using this A5 size sheet, white drawing paper. In case you don't have a white drawing paper, you know you can use a different colored paper if you have, Or in case you don't have any of these, I'm sure you would have some notebook papers with you. So you can just take off a paper from your notebook and just use that in today's class as well. Okay, so that's the first material. The second that we need is a brush. So since we are going to make use of paints in today's class, we would need a brush as well. So any number of brush, that is any size of the brush, any type of the brush. It could be either a round brush or a flat brush. Anything would be fine. So that's the second material, that's the paint brush. Third, we need a water container, which has a little bit of water to clean the brushes, to wet the paints as well. Fourth, we need these watercolor paints. So I have these watercolor cakes over here. I'm going to make use of these watercolor paints. Since it's a watercolor class today, I hope you might also be using these watercolors. In case you're not able to use watercolors, you can use poster colors as well. And in case you are not using paints, you can also use crayons if you want. So don't worry if you're not able to use paints or any kind of paints in today's class. You can make use of crayons or color pencils, anything that you want, and still take part in today's fun activity. Okay. In case you're using crayons or any dry medium, you need not have these brush and water container. For everybody who's making use of paints, make sure that you have a brush and a water container as well. Okay. The fifth that we need is a compass with a pencil. So I've just attached this pencil tightly with the compass. The sixth that we need is a black sketch pen or a black gel pen or ball pen. That's the next. So any of these, it could be a black gel pen or a black ball pen, anything which has a black ink, like even a black gel pen would work totally fine. And in case you don't have anything which is in black ink, you can just go ahead and make use of any other colored sketch pen or a regular pen that you have at your place. Okay. So we have discussed almost all the materials and close substitutes to it as well. Don't worry if you don't have the exact same materials. You can still make use of the substitutes that I have given and take part in today's fun activity. Okay, so we have already discussed the materials now, and it's time that we don't waste any more time and let's get started with the activity now. Okay, so these are the materials, and then let's get started. So first, just take the compass, the rounder that you have, which is attached with a pencil. Just make sure that the screw of this rounder, the compass of this rounder, is nicely and firmly tightened to the pencil. Just make sure that the screw is tightly attached to the pencil. Just take your rounder or the compass that you call it as first. Now, just zooming in a little for you. Taking the compass now, place the point of the compass. Just look at the point of the compass. Place the point of the compass roughly at the center portion of your sheet. So roughly the center portion of your sheet. Place this point roughly at the center. Draw a circle. Just make sure that you have enough gap beyond this circle that you're drawing. So it need not be a large circle, just a medium size of a circle that we are drawing. So just have a look at the size of the circle first and then you can draw. So just have a look at the size of the circle. I have enough gap beyond this circle on my page. So that's the first circle that I've drawn. So quickly repeating this process for you. Placing the point at the center and then I rotate the sheet. Instead of rotating the compass, you can just rotate the sheet and you'll get a circle formed. So that's the first circle that I've drawn. And just have a look at the gap that I still have on the sheet beyond this circle. Okay. So that's the first circle. Now again, place the compass point at the same tip where you first placed. So the same point where we initially placed our the point of the compass, just place it again on the same area. Drag the compass out a little and draw another circle. So just look at the gap between the two circles that I have given. It's a little less, it's slightly larger in size than the previous circle. So again, just make sure that you have somewhat the same gap between these two circles. Okay, so here's a quick recap for you. Place the point of the compass at the same point again, and then drag the compass a little beyond the previous circle and rotate the sheet. So have a look at the two circles and the distance between the two circles that I have. So I have a little lesser space or the distance between the two circles. Make sure that you're also following the same process. Okay, so we have just drawn these two circles now. Now again, place the point at the same point, and this time we'll make a little larger circle. So again, that's a little larger circle. So just have a look at the distance from the previous circle now. So that's the first circle, then there's a little bit of gap, and then there's a second circle. Then I'm extending the compass up to a certain point, widening this gap, and I'm drawing another circle now. Okay, so I've just drawn the third circle. Here's a quick recap for you. That was the second circle. Now, just placing the point again at the central area, drag the compass beyond the previous circle, again rotate the sheet, and you get another circle. So that's the third circle that we have drawn. So that's the first circle, the second circle, and now the third circle. Okay, so three circles, three concentric circles. We all know what is a concentric circle, yes? A circle inside a circle is called as a concentric circle. Yes, so we have drawn the concentric circles now. Again, let's draw a circle now again. So again, a little bit of gap from the previous one, and we draw a circle again. So just have a look at this distance now. It's again quite a less distance between the two circles again. Taking a step back, place the point at the center, extend your compass, and draw another circle just by rotating the sheet. And the distance from the previous circle may not be too much, so just a little bit of difference between the two circles. Okay, so till now we must have four of these circles. Let's quickly give a count. That's the first circle, that's the second circle, the third circle, and this is the fourth circle. Okay, so we have four of these circles ready now. I hope you have also constructed these four circles up till now. Yes, so let's get towards the next process now. You can keep your compass and the rounder aside. Pick up a black sketch pen. So either, as I said, a black sketch pen or a black gel pen or ball pen, any of what you're using, just take that. And now it's time to fill this gap with patterns. So just have a look, where am I actually creating these patterns? It is between the second circle and the third circle that I'm creating this pattern. Leave the first circle, leave the second circle, beyond the second circle, and between the third circle. So it's between the second and third circle that I'm creating this pattern. Okay, and I start from the top section. I draw a curve and I create another curve in the opposite direction. So we all know that this is our very own leaf shape pattern. This is a leaf shape, and we have already made use of the same pattern quite a lot of times. We're just going to draw the same leaf shape in between the second and the third circle. Okay, so in case you have missed the initial part of it, I'm just quickly taking you a little back. Let's start from here. We start by drawing one curved line and then a second curved line. And we draw the same leaf shape in between this two circles. So I'm going to keep rotating my sheet. I'll keep rotating my sheet so that it's easy for me to construct these, to draw these patterns. So make sure that you're also rotating the sheet along with and keep drawing these leaf shapes. Okay, so just go ahead with drawing this leaf shape in between the circle till you reach the starting point. Okay, so let's quickly complete this leaf shape in between the two gaps of the circle. And as I said, keep rotating your sheet so that it's easy for you to draw these leaf shapes. So just two curved lines. That's the first curved line, and then there's a second curved line. Just two curved lines to form a leaf shape, and we follow that throughout the circle because we know this by now. We are aware of this fact by now that in a mandala, patterns repeat themselves in a circle. So since this is one circle, this is one ring of circle, these are the patterns that are going to repeat themselves. Yes, so we're just going to draw the same pattern, the same leaf petal, leaf shape at this area. If you see, I'm just reaching the end, the start point actually. The place where I started, I just ended there. So if you see, I've just created this leaf shape between the gap of this circle. Don't worry if you have not completed it up till now. You can have your own speed of working. As I said, do not rush this process. Do not be in a hurry. Even if you don't complete this artwork by the end of this class, you can still complete it after this class ends. Okay? But just make sure that you're carefully listening to all the process so you don't miss on to anything. Okay? Now, I'm going to give a good filler to it, but a simple one. Okay. So if you see, that's again the same filler that we are making use in this leaf shape. We start by drawing a straight line and then we give these simple diagonal lines on one side. So again, drawing a straight line and drawing these diagonal lines on one side. We follow the same process for all the leaf shape again. This thing of just repeating the same filler in all the leaf shape is called as symmetry. So we are just following this symmetrical pattern now. We are going to give a vertical line in between and draw these diagonal lines on one end. Following the same process throughout this leaf shape, drawing a straight line and drawing these diagonal lines. I'm a little quick over here because I think all of you are aware of this filler by now. So just going to fill all of these leaf shape with the same filler. So drawing a straight line and then these diagonal lines on the other end. Just following the similar technique, straight line plus these diagonal lines on one side. Okay, again if you see, I keep rotating my sheet while I'm drawing. It's easy for me, and the fact that once you draw, there's a little bit of ink which is wet on the paper. If it happens that your palm rests on the paper, there could be chances of smudging and you may not have a tidy artwork. Okay, so you could just keep rotating your sheet so that you just have a neat and clean artwork before you. Okay, so just drawing this filler for all the leaf shapes. Okay, just a straight line and these lines on one side, just like the veins of the leaf that we have. I'm almost onto the last leaf shape now. Okay, in case you couldn't follow this, I'll just take you a little back at it and let's recap it from here. We draw a straight line and then we draw these diagonal lines. We draw a straight line and then these diagonal lines on one end. Okay, we're almost there now. Just a straight line and then these diagonal lines. Okay, straight line and the diagonal lines. So we're done with the filler for this leaf section. Now, if you could see, we have a next circle and there is another last circle and there's a gap being created between these two circles. Just carefully observe this area where the cursor is moving. So now we are going to just fill this area with some kind of basic pattern. So just make sure that you're within this gap. You're within this two circles only and you don't move out of this gap or this area which we have created. Okay. Let's carefully have a look at the pattern now. I'm going to simply draw these circles between the two circles. If you see, I'm just being inside this area. I'm not moving outside it, creating these simple circles, tiny simple circles, and I stay within these two circles only. So I'm just going to create these circles all around the gap. Just creating these circles around this, tiny circles. And again, a quick reminder to keep rotating your sheet so that you have tidy artworks. Okay. Filling it up with tiny circles at this end. Just tiny circles, a simple pattern since we have a smaller gap at that area. We'll just give it a basic filler, that's tiny circles around it. So I'm just drawing these tiny circles. Okay. So we are almost reaching to the first circle now to get it complete. So just drawing these tiny circles. Okay. Awesome. So if you see, I've just completed this whole part with tiny circles now. Don't worry if you have not completed it yet. That's totally fine again. As I said, you can still complete it once this class is over, but make sure that you're following the steps. You are making count of the steps that we create or the steps that we follow in this class so you don't miss on to anything. Okay, even if you have completed half of this area with circle, it's totally fine. We are now going to jump on to the next process. So it's okay if you have not completed it up till now, but just make sure that you're carefully observing the next process of it. Okay, so if you see by now we have created a mandala around the central area. We are not going to leave the central area blank. We are going to create something around in here. So it's time to take your watercolors and your paints or the crayons if you're using, and we are going to just quickly get started and we're going to explore a different medium now. Okay, so I hope all of you all are ready with your watercolors, your water container and the brush. Okay, so first, just carefully have a look at this. I'm just going to draw a curved line, a rough curved line with pencil. You may not be able to see this curved line very clearly in front of your screen. So let me zoom in for you. Okay, so I hope you can now see this. So that's the first curved line, just a rough curved line that I'm drawing, and then just draw another curved line. Okay, so these are the two curved lines that I've drawn in the central section. And if you see, I'm not going to move beyond this circle. So the first circle that I have, I'm going to stay within this circle only. Because outside we have already created this mandala. So we are not going to touch it again. We are going to stay within this first circle only. Okay, so I'm going to just repeat this process. In the central section, we draw a curved line first. That's the first curved line that I've drawn. Then we draw another curved line just by leaving a little bit of gap in between. So these are the two curved lines that I've drawn. So just a rough curved line, wavy line that we need. Okay, so I hope you are done with these two curved lines. Even if you have not completed the outer mandala, you all can just keep that aside for a while and you all can jump to the center portion first. You can paint this along with me and then you can just complete the outer mandala portion then. Okay, so just take in your water container, dip your brush into the water and then we're just going to wet the area first. So just first carefully observe. These are the two curved lines just on the upper section of the two curved lines. In between the two curved lines, we're not going to do anything. Just above this curved line, we are going to wet this area. So just wet this area with a little bit of water. Do not use too much of water because then you'll end up tearing the sheet. So just wet this area. Just go around with the brush with water and just wet the area. I'm just wetting this area and I'm staying above this curved line. If you see, I'm just wetting the area above the curved line. Okay, so you may not be able to see the wet portion in the camera, but I'm just quickly repeating this. So I'm going to quickly wet the upper portion, simply going to place my brush into the water and then on the paper to wet this area. Okay, so now the paper is wet. Okay, carefully listen to me when I say this. The paper is wet now, and now we are going to paint on this wet paper, right? So the paper is wet, the paints are going to be wet as well, right? We are going to add on to some water to the paints. So the paper is wet, the paints are going to be wet as well. So this technique of painting is called as wet on wet technique, where the paper is wet and we are going to place the paints over it. That is called as wet on wet technique. Okay, that was a quick knowledge tip for you. That is a wet on wet technique. So now we are going to make use of our paints. Take up some water, wet your paints. I'm taking a little bit of blue color. So just add some water to your blue paint. Any shade of blue that you have would totally work. So don't worry about the shade. So I'm just making use of this blue paint. I added some water to the paint and I'm going to take a little bit of paint onto the brush and now I'm going to simply dab on the upper portion. So if you see only the area which I made it wet with water, I'm going to just dab the brush in that area only and do not move outside the circle. Do not move outside the circle, stay within the circle only. Okay, so I'm just going to dab around this area. So don't worry in case you haven't followed. Quickly repeating this for you. Take a little bit of paint onto the brush. Start from one edge and then give this dab portion on the above area. It's okay if you have little bit of white gaps in between. Just dab your brush, cover the edges of the circle. So if you see this edge portion, I'm going to cover it with paint. Do not leave that area blank. So cover it with paint now. You can just take a little more of paint now. Start dabbing the paint. Just start by dabbing the paint now. Okay. Make sure you're just finishing up the edges with the paint. If you see, I've just painted on the upper portion of it. Only the upper portion of the curved line that I drew. Just going to paint in that section. Okay. So that's the first thing that we did. I'm quickly repeating this for you again. I take a little more paint now. Do not be too harsh with your brushes. Just dab the brush on the paper and the paint will eventually blend. Because this is a wet on wet technique, right? The paper is wet already, so the paints will automatically blend with the paper. So don't worry. Just fill up the edges nicely. Don't move beyond the circle. So that's something that I've created up till now. So that's the first color that we used. Just clean your brush. Just clean your brush nicely with water. Just place it into the water container, clean your brushes, and now just wet a green color. So any shade of green that you want, again, any shade of green that you have, just wet that paint nicely. Just wet that green paint nicely and start dabbing the green paint again onto the blue paint now. It's fine if it's mixing or any of that sort. Just simply dab the green paint onto the paper now. So if you see, I've just dabbed this green paint onto the paper. Okay, so quickly repeating this step for you. Clean your brush and activate this green paint. By activate, I mean just add a little bit of water to your green paint so that they are activated and you can use them with your brush. Okay, take this green paint in your brush and simply dab this in the section above it. So the same area where we created the blue part, we are just going to go around with the same green paint now. And again, a tiny reminder to stay within the circle, the first circle that we have created. Okay, again, just clean your brush nicely. Just clean your brush nicely. And I'm going to make your use of this ochre yellow ochre color that I'm using. In case you don't have this color, listen to me carefully. In case you don't have this color, make use of a brown shade that you have. In case you don't have a brown shade as well, you can make use of a yellow shade as well. Okay, so either ochre yellow or a brown shade or a yellow shade, any of which you can use. Okay, so just clean your brush nicely with water again. Activate the paint, that is either the ochre yellow or the brown paint that you're using. Now it's time to wet the area below this curved line. So we have two curved lines. Just below the second curved line, we are going to wet the area. The gap between the two curved lines, we are going to leave it the way it is. Okay, just leave the gap the way it is. Just going to wet the lower area now with water. Just wet this area with water. Now take the ochre or the brown or the yellow paint. You should carefully observe this first and then start by dabbing it onto the lower area. If you see, I'm not covering the gap between the two wavy lines that we have drawn. I'm just going to dab the brush, dab the paint onto the lower area only. Okay, so carefully observe this again. I'm going to repeat it for you, but for the first time, please observe this. If you see that the central area, the gap between the two curved lines, I've left it completely with no color. They should be plain white. There should be no color at that area. Okay, here's a quick recap for you. We are going to first wet the lower area. We first wet this lower area completely with water. We stay within the circle as far as possible. And as I said, do not use too much water because then you will end up tearing the paper. Then activate your color, that is a brown color or yellow ochre or even a yellow color. And then just go ahead and dab the brush onto the lower section now. And as I said, the paint will eventually blend because the paper is wet and we are following the wet on wet technique. Okay, so the paper was wet and the paints are also wet, so it would be easy for the paints or the colors to blend in with the paper. Okay, and as you see, I'm not going beyond this curved line, I'm staying within this curved line only. You can take a little bit of more paint just to darken this area. So just simply tap the paint. If you see, we are just creating a beach over here. So just a tiny beach as the central portion of our mandala. That's a watercolor central mandala. We created a watercolor center and then we just fused it with our mandala technique. So if you see, I've just created a simple kind of a beach in the center. And now all of you all can just keep your artworks to dry up. Okay, there's something that I'm going to do right now, but that is something that you have to do post your artworks are completely dried. Okay, so just wait till your artworks are completely dried and only then you need to follow the next process. But I'm going to share this process with you so that you can do this when the paint is dried. Okay. I'm just done with this technique. I'm just done. So now, once everything is dried, for me, I've just kept it aside for a while and it's dried now. But I'm sure it wouldn't be dry for all of you. So just keep it aside for drying for a while. And once it is dried, we are just going to cut this. We are going to cut this mandala. Okay, so just carefully observe now. I'm going to cut it in a way such that there's minimum wastage of paper. Okay, so I'm going to start by first cutting the upper portion of it in such a way that I can use this portion later for creating any of my tiny artworks. And then I create cut the lower portion of it again so that I can use this paper later on. Okay, so minimum wastage of paper that we are following. And now you just need to cut it in a circular manner, just outside the tiny circles that we have created. I'm going to cut it around this tiny circle. So again, just make sure that you're careful with the scissors because those are sharp. You can just take help of any of your elder ones. Ask them to cut this out for you if you find it to be difficult. And please follow this step only once your artworks are dried. Okay, so just follow this process only when the artworks are dried completely. Okay, I'm almost there. I've just cut it out in a way like this now. And this is nothing but a circular bookmark that I've created. So bookmark is something that we use while reading. So in case you just end up completing something or you just want to remember the page where you stopped reading, we place something in middle just to remember where we stopped. The next time you approach this reading, you approach this book, you have a reminder that this was the particular page where you stopped and you need to continue reading from here. So that's what bookmark is called as. And we're just going to make use of this cutout as a bookmark. It's not necessary for a bookmark to be always rectangular in shape. So this is something different that we have created now. We have created a beautiful circular beach watercolor mandala bookmark in this class. Okay. So again, a quick reminder, please cut this out only once it is dried, only once the paint are dried. Okay. So that's a bookmark that we created in today's class. I hope all of you enjoyed creating this unique mandala watercolor bookmark with me. And I especially love the central beach portion that we created with the help of watercolors. Do let me know what you love the most in this bookmark. And don't forget to make your submissions on time. Right after this class ends, I'm going to go check your submissions. So once it is completely dried, the paints are completely dried, make sure you cut it out and just make your submissions. So I'll quickly go and check the submissions then. And it's the last class today. So I hope all of y'all enjoyed this mandala course, had lots of learnings, and until next class, please take care of yourself, stay creative. I'll meet you super soon with yet another course. Till then, please stay creative, take care of yourself, enjoy all the hobby classes on YOLO. Okay, I'll see you super soon. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at YOLO. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.yolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app